Welcome to Cathy's Eclectic Garden. I'm Cathy and I garden in Zone 5B, 6A in Northwest Ohio. I'm currently working on a series of videos that highlight plants that are thriving in my garden. We'll be right back. Today we're talking about Joe Pye weed, Eclectic Purpurium and Eclectic fistulosa. These are the two Joe Pyes that I have in my garden, and they're basically the same. They're hardy in zones 4 to 9 and are a herbaceous perennial that like full sun to partial shade, and they bloom from summer into fall. They get 3 to 8 feet tall. This one's not anywhere close to 8 feet yet. They like moist to medium soil. They're low maintenance, like any type of soil, any type of pH, and they're native to our area. This is the Purpurium, Eclectic Purpurium. It's also called Queen of the Meadow and Purple Joe Pye weed. This plant has been in bloom for 2 to 3 weeks, so it's getting towards the end of its bloom time for these plants. I've never tried to deadhead these to see if they'll bring up more blooms. I might try that this year and see if I can get another bloom out of them. Now, Joe Pye has an interesting history. It was named after Joe Pye, who was reported to be a Native American herbalist in New England and may have used the Joe Pye weed to treat his patients. In the year 2000, all Joe Pye weed was removed from the genus Purpurium and placed in a new genus called Eclectic. Some online references still refer to it as Purpurium, so if you're looking for it online, you need to kind of watch out for that. You can grow this indoors, and I have also winter sowed it in milk jugs in the wintertime. If you grow it indoors, you need to cold stratify the seeds by putting them in the refrigerator for a couple of months before you plant them. Or you can propagate it by division or by seed, and these will self-seed. I had some from this plant. They don't self-seed readily, but I have a couple of plants coming up in different areas of this particular garden spot right here. It has clusters of tiny little mauve flowers, and you can see how these little stems have clusters on the end of them. And they have no serious pest or disease problems. Mine have not been bothered by powdery mildew at all, and I have these right beside a patch of wild bergamot that gets serious mildew problems every year, so you don't have to worry about mildew. They tolerate consistently moist soil. They do not like to dry out any at all. So you want to make sure you either have them in a spot that stays moist all summer, or if they start to dry out, make sure you water them. They attract all kinds of butterflies and other pollinating insects, from small skippers to large swallowtail butterflies and even monarchs. And we see a lot of native bees on our Joe Pye weed. Now, as I said in the beginning, this plant and the other fistulosa that I have in another area that we're going to go to in a minute have just a few dissimilar characteristics, and one of those is that this is the Purpurium, and the Purpurium has a green stalk, and here where the leaves and the flower shoots come off from the stem, it's a little bit of purple in there, and that's how you can tell this is the Purpurium. And when we go up where the fistulosum is, we'll look at that and we'll show you the difference. So we'll move the camera and go to the other area of the yard where my fistulosa is located. Now, this is Purpurium fistulosa, and as you can see, this has purple stems, and it blooms midsummer into fall, and it has just, the blossoms on this one have just started to come out. You can see just a few have bloomed, but we've still got quite a few flower buds on this one, so it's not completely bloomed out yet. And this variety only gets 4 to 6 feet tall, so it's considerably shorter than the Purpurium. Okay, I made a little bit of a misstatement at the beginning. I said I had 2 varieties of Joe Pye weed. Actually, I've got 3. I was thinking this one and the fistulosum were the same, and when we got to this area of the garden, I thought those can't be the same. There's too much of a difference in the height and the stems. This is Eclectic maculatum, or spotted Joe Pye weed. This one comes up, the stems are green at the bottom, and as they get on up, they get darker and more purplish, and they've got real faint spots on the stem. That's why it's called spotted Joe Pye weed. These stems are solid, where the fistulosa has hollow stems. If I cut this down at the base, you would see the stem is solid, and if I cut one of the fistulosa at the ground, you would see the stem is hollow. So that's the big difference between these 2 varieties. Plus, this one gets considerably larger. I'm 5'2", 2.5", and you can see this is considerably taller than I am. So it's probably at least 5.5, maybe closer to 6 feet tall. So that's the difference of the 2. So I've got 3 Joe Pye weeds in my garden. I've got the Purpurium in the back native garden, and I've got the little Joe Pye, which is the fistulosa, and the spotted Joe Pye, which is the maculatum, in my mesic rain garden. These are the leaves from the 3 different plants. This is the Purpurium, this is the fistulosum, and this is the maculatum. You can see the Purpurium is quite a bit lighter than the fistulosum and the maculatum, and it has a white vein down the center, and the leaf is a little more rough, or has deeper margins in the leaf, and has quite a bit deeper serration on the edges. The fistulosum and the maculatum are a lot more similar. The fistulosum, you can see at the tip of the stem, that's more purplish, and it's got the purple vein up the center. And the maculatum is the same, only the stem is more green, and it's not quite as much purple, but there is some purple in the main vein. And they both have the not as quite a deep a serration on the edges, and the veining and texture is a little bit smoother. So that's the differences in the leaves from the 3 different species. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Join us again for the next one. Bye.